Hello, welcome to my backyard. I'm James Burks, the creator of Bird and Squirrel. And I thought it'd be fun, since Bird and Squirrel All or Nothing just came out, the 6th book in the Bird and Squirrel series. I thought it'd be fun to go back to the beginning and sort of walk you through how I came up with the ideas for Bird and Squirrel, how I sort of laid out the very first book, Bird and Squirrel on the Run. And we're gonna do it by going through these sketchbooks. One of them is a little waterlogged. This one has early character designs in it. This one has more of my thumbnails for the panels. And so I thought it'd be fun if I flipped through the book and talked about what I see and about the ideas that I came up with it and how I designed the characters and how I laid out the books. And so grab a cup of coffee, or if you don't drink coffee, maybe some water or juice or something, and let's go back to the beginning of Bird and Squirrel on the Run and see where it all began. Okay, here we go. This is a look inside the sketchbook. You can see it's a little waterlogged, but that's okay. So you can see over here on the right-hand side, we have basically what the story is, where I wrote a responsible squirrel, a bird who is a bit flighty, and a cat who's always looking for his next meal. And then it's like, squirrel spends his days collecting nuts for winter. Bird just wants to have fun. Bird is supposed to fly south for the winter, but he keeps putting it off. Squirrel keeps telling him that he should go before it's too late. Bird doesn't listen. The cat is always on the prowl. Bird gets attacked by the cat and would have been killed if Squirrel hadn't saved him, but Bird's wing is injured and there's no way he can fly south. After much thought, Squirrel decides to drive him south. Apparently at that point, there may have been a car in Bird and Squirrel. That's news to me. The two of them set off on a road trip. Little do they know the cat is in hot pursuit. Squirrel wants to stick to the map and schedule because he's very fastidious in that way, while Bird wants to check out the sights. And then at the bottom, we have sort of, the moral of the book, which is Squirrel must learn that there is more to life than just work. Bird must learn a little responsibility, and the cat must learn to keep his claws to himself. So when I start out my books, I generally just write ideas down and I sort of beat them out like this, and I write just anything down, and obviously it's on different sides of the page and all over. Here on the right hand side of the page are my very first drawings of what I was trying to figure out what Bird would look like. Play with different designs where he's a little chubby and other ones where he's a bit thinner. And so here's some more Bird and Squirrel. I put a check mark next to this one. Generally that's for myself to remind me of those are the ones that I like. And so you can see here now Bird has his trademark goggles. He's got a little injured wing, and so that was sort of getting closer to the design that I thought would be Bird. And then on the right side of the page here, we have Squirrel. At the top it says, Squirrel and Bird couldn't be more opposite. Squirrel's responsible. He spends his days doing what all good squirrels do, collecting nuts. Bird, on the other hand, is a bit flighty. He spends his days flying about without a care in the world. Bird and Squirrel aren't necessarily friends. Let's say they're more like acquaintances. And so we can see early Squirrel design. He didn't have his helmet at this point. When I start out with characters, I generally will come up with a design and then I'll just sort of live with them a little bit. I'll start drawing them in different positions and doing different things and just get familiar with them. And a lot of times you'll get ideas for stories by doing this. And so I have just Bird being Bird here, and I'm trying to figure out how to draw him and draw him from different angles and doing different things. And so here we have Squirrel, and of course here's where he gets his acorn helmet, and it says, I wrote a note, could wear acorn top as helmet. You can never be too safe. Something could fall from the sky. This is sort of what gives your drawings character. Is the goggles give Bird a certain character to him. You know, it gives him a certain personality. The helmet for Squirrel gives him a personality. Here's a bit more about the writing. It says, prepared for anything. Squirrel and Bird are about to depart. Squirrel's double checking his list of supplies. The Bird has nothing, just himself. Suddenly the cat leaps out of the bushes. Squirrel and Bird leap onto the bike and the chase is on. Squirrel pedals the bike with Bird in the sidecar. They zig and zag, trying to shake the cat off their tail. So this is how I sort of do an outline for my stories, and I break down each sort of little segment into little paragraphs like this, and I just write what's happening, and I go through the entire story like this. The great thing about working this way is it's easy for me to throw out this versus throw out pages and pages of artwork that I've done, because when I did my very first book, Gabbing Gator, that's the way that I did work. I would do a lot of drawings. My agent would give me some notes. I would throw out those drawings. I would do more drawings, and it was just a very inefficient way to work. And so I came up with a better way of using an outline to work out my story and get it working before I start drawing, and that way I don't waste a lot of time. So here's a list of Act 2 obstacles. They fall into an abandoned mine. They're attacked by rats. They go into a cave with bats. They must cross a ravine, attacked by bees. They walk in circles, looking for food. Beehive, bird talks too much. Squirrel worries about everything. They go down a rabbit hole. They build a shelter. There's snow. There's a troll bridge. I guess at some point there were going to be mystical creatures in Bird and Squirrel. And then we have the conflict of the story, which is the main conflict is with each other and with the elements. Here's a little asterisk, which I thought was funny. It's a hide and seek. Bird decides to play hide and seek with Squirrel, but doesn't tell Squirrel, which I thought it's kind of funny. He just hides, and then Squirrel just thinks he's gone, and he never sees him again. Bird sings constantly, goofy, nonsensical songs about what Squirrel is doing, and I think that was the birth of the Bird and Squirrel theme song. Bird holds up 2 sticks. Look at me, I'm a deer. I think that made it into Bird and Squirrel on Fire. And then here's Bird pondering the mysteries of the universe. Do you ever wonder why we're here? And then here's some early designs for Grand Mole. My early designs for the cat, aptly named the cat. Here we get into some early panel designs. And here's something very important if you're drawing your comics. It's like to have a foreground, a background, a middle ground. And what that is we have this foreground part. This creates a really good sense of depth, and I use this in pretty much all my books. I have a foreground element, which is this part here in the front. We have this middle ground, which is this tree, and then in the background we get other shapes and things and it just gives you sort of makes a world be a bit more believable and really creates a sense of depth. So here's some more. This is a first little sketch I did of what I thought Squirrel's house would be on the top of a hill and sort of getting the layout. Here's more of Bird. I'm just trying to, again, figure out how his wings would be drawn. Here's a tip, which I like to use because I draw in pen and I don't erase generally. What I like to use are Post-it notes. So I'll just stick a Post-it note. I'll tear little pieces and just draw on the Post-its. And I'll do this over and over. And sometimes I have huge, the Post-its on multi-levels just keep going up and up. And so this is the cat chase between Bird and the cat. And this is where I was working out sort of different ideas for panels and how they would get put together. Here's where Bird hits the log or the stump. Here we have a cat double. I didn't sort of like where he was, so I just drew him slightly over. And the great thing about having a sketchbook is you can just draw whatever you want in there. It doesn't really matter if it's perfect because you can fix that later or scan it in the computer, and it's just to get your ideas down on paper. And then here's more panels and I start to number. So here's panel 1. This is the very beginning of the book. It's where Bird wakes up in the beginning and he starts flying around saying hello to everything. And so we have here 1, Bird flies in. 2, he flies around a tree. 3, he flies through some more trees. 4, he zigs around a bush and then over. And then 5, he bumps some grass. And then 6, the cat pops his head up. And so then he's hello tree, morning porcupine, it's a wonderful day, good morning fish. And so I just basically start again coming up with ideas for the panels and what I think, different ways of laying it out. The great way about working like this is you're not really worried about making pretty drawings. I don't really worry about what the actual page is going to look like. I just put the little drawings on wherever I can put them, and then later on I'll scan them in the computer and then lay them out in the proper way and fix stuff if need be. And then here's where we very first meet Squirrel. He sees this giant acorn in the front and he's in the back, and he comes looking around trees, zagging, trying to get to it in the safest way possible. More tiny thumbnails, and it's just Squirrel acting out his dialogue. And that's it for this sketchbook. Hey, you're still here. Awesome. Thanks for watching. I hope you got some valuable information from that, and if you did, let me know in the comments. If you have any questions, please leave those in the comments as well. I do have a second sketchbook that I shot some video for that I may edit together, but it was really long, so I decided to just cut this one off at the end of this sketchbook, and we'll see how it goes. And until then, have a great day, and I'll see you later. Bye.